And finally, new rule in honor of Earth Day. This Wednesday, America must go all out to save a creature that's on the verge of extinction. I'm talking, of course, about the Republican politician who believes in science. And with that in mind, tonight we present Zombie Lies Environmental Edition. Now, how many remember the zombie lie that I introduced last year? It's the label I gave to political statements that are definitively proven wrong and yet refuse to die. Now, most zombie lies about the environment are prefaced by the phrase, "I'm not a scientist." Jeb Bush says that. So does Marco Rubio. John Boehner says, "I'm not qualified to debate science." And Rick Perry says, "Oh my God, my hands are gone. Wait, they're in my... Wait, they're in my pockets." Oh, Rick, of all the things you have to worry about, people mistaking you for a scientist should be very far down the list. No, Rick, you're a legislator, which means you have to vote on things like building new highways, even though you're not a dump truck. Rick also says, "I don't believe man-made global warming is settled in science." Well, they all have some variation on that one. Jeb Bush's twist is to say it is not unanimous among scientists, because that feeds the needs more study myth that was pioneered by a long discredited half-wit, or as Jeb calls him, my brother. Now, of course, scientific fact is never unanimous. There will always be some mountain man somewhere with a PhD in bird calls who says temperature spikes are caused by God farts. However, in 2013, an MIT professor studied almost 11,000 peer-reviewed articles about climate change, and there were only 2 dissenters. So yes, there is a scientific community that doubts climate change, but it could fit on a motorcycle. Or how about this one? Let's not panic about the Earth warming. In the 70s, everyone was told global cooling was a really big problem. No, not everyone, just one article in Newsweek that, for the deniers, is the Dewey defeats Truman of science. The one time a newspaper in 1948 Chicago got an election result wrong, and it proved that journalism is a hoax and Chicago is just a theory. But here's the thing about that Newsweek story. It didn't say an overwhelming consensus of scientists thought the Earth was cooling. It said a few were floating that theory. Or as Mike Huckabee remembers it, when I was in college, all the literature at that time from the scientific community said we were going to freeze to death. And again, by all the literature, he means that one Newsweek article. As if Newsweek is Nostradamus. Here they are predicting that M. Night Shyamalan will be the next Steven Spielberg. He wasn't even the next Murray Spielberg. Oh, there are so many echo-zombie lies, like carbon is good for you, the climate is always changing, I just made a snowball, and of course, Al Gore has a big house. Trump card. But my favorite is the one that says, even though there may be a scientific consensus, consensuses have been wrong before. Ted Cruz says, just look at Galileo. Oh, Ted, I worked with Galileo. Galileo was a friend of mine. You, sir, are no Galileo. But as long as you want to look at Galileo, the consensus he disproved was that the sun orbits the Earth, which wasn't a scientific consensus. It was a Bible myth from caveman. He was the scientist in the... You know what? Why am I getting excited and bothering? This was never about facts to begin with. But what is new is that it's not even about pandering to voters anymore. Even half of Republicans now want this issue dealt with. Well, good luck, because the zombie lies aren't for the voters. They're for the donors, who make their money killing the planet. The question is not why today's politicians suck more than ever, it's who they're sucking more than ever. The Koch brothers are in the oil business, and they're pledging almost $1 billion in this election. For that kind of money, Cruz and Bush and the rest of them will say anything. It's what their fellow prostitutes in the sex industry call the girlfriend experience.